afternoon, good evening, good morning to all of you, and Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.
Our very first show of 2023. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a fun-filled episode today with a pretty controversial topic that we've been waiting to talk about. So
I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. It's been, I think, since the mid-December, right? Our last show or
it's not
something like that.
the show for that long. You're welcome for the break. All right, everyone. So our topic today is unlocking the potential of AI in education. If you don't know what AI is, it is artificial intelligence. And we know we've been hearing a lot of talk about this, especially in the last month. And we are going to talk about it today. So in our episode 1, a deep dive into ChatGPT and its impact on learning. And if you've never heard about it, you're going to learn all about it today. And if you have heard about it, we would love to hear what you think about it. And if you have never seen us before, my name is Teresa Castro.
And I am Ricardo Recinos.
And we are both technology TOSAs from Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. And of course, before we continue, we want to thank our sponsors. The reason why we get to do this training every week, of course, our district Hacienda La Puente, our HLPTA right here, CTA, thank you so much, and our ILC for making this possible for us to have these deep conversations and to connect with all of you out there.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and move on.
Whoa, this is a lot of words. Okay, so we always start off with our purpose and our objective. So you know why it is we're here and why you want to tune in with us today. So our purpose, lots of words, everyone, just hang in there with me, all right? To provide educators with an understanding of the capabilities and potential uses and concerns of advanced AI technologies, specifically focusing on the example of ChatGPT in education. So that is our why. That's our purpose today. And our objective, our actual goal, is to familiarize educators, or all of you, with the capabilities and challenges of ChatGPT and other advanced AI technologies. We also want to explore the potential uses of ChatGPT in educational settings, such as personalized language and language instruction. And this last one we probably won't have time for today, but we will in a future episode. We will have experts on here with us to provide all of us with practical strategies for actually incorporating ChatGPT and other advanced AI technologies into our classroom. So we can't wait for that.
Yeah, I think as we were getting ready for this and planning, we definitely knew from moment one that this was going to be a series. It wasn't going to be a one episode kind of thing, right?
Definitely. We love to squeeze in as much as we can into an hour, but I think this is such an important conversation that we wouldn't do it justice to just have one episode. And our experts actually want to come on here and talk with us already. So we're excited to have them in our next episode. So as always, our non-objective, we don't expect anyone to be experts at ChatGPT or any AI. It is impossible, okay? And we don't expect you to throw out anything and everything that you are doing, because you're all doing amazing.
But I think it might make you think about the things that you are doing. I have to say that.
So before we even begin talking about ChatGPT and these artificial intelligence in the classroom, we have to talk about what does AI mean? What is artificial intelligence? What is it?
Yeah, and as we were thinking about how to structure our episode 1, we wanted to start from ground zero. I know there's probably a lot of you that are watching us today that have experienced ChatGPT. You play with it probably, you know what it can do, but we also are aware that there might be people that this is the first time they are being exposed to ChatGPT or any kind of AI. So we wanted to start from ground zero. So we have a quick video. We're going to watch probably 20 seconds of it just to talk about what AI is. Okay?
Before you play it real quick, just so that, when I think of AI, because I've heard this conversation, I think of the movie iRobot. And that's what I think of. I think of robots like taking over the world. But let's go in and see what it's really about.
Sure. I'm going to turn the sound on for a second, and let me play just 20 seconds probably.
What is artificial intelligence? Before we answer that, let's look at these terms individually. What do you understand by the term artificial? Well, it can be anything that is made by humans, things that are non-natural. And what do you understand by intelligence? It is the ability to understand, think, and learn. So, what do we get when we combine these two together? Artificial intelligence is a broad area of computer science that makes machines seem like they have human intelligence.
I think that's all we're going to do when it comes to the video today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think I was pretty accurate. Just kidding. Yeah, no, definitely artificial intelligence to me is, computers and things like that doing things that normally humans can do, right? So how about you, Ricardo? What does
Exactly. That's the understanding that I had of it. A computer that is simulating a human intelligence. And when I say that, it's a machine that is probably programmed to learn things that typically require human intelligence, right? Such as visual perception, right? Speech recognition, decision making, and language translation. That's the way I will say that artificial intelligence is a machine behaving like a human being.
Well, artificial intelligence sounds like a cool topic, but so what? Like, who cares, right? Why are we doing a whole show or even a whole series about it? So what? I don't know. What's the big deal about this, right? Well, especially in the last month, we've been hearing a lot of things, and I'm going to go to the next slide, Mr. Ricinos. We're about to introduce you to ChatGPT, and it's got a lot of educators who are quite concerned right now. And these gifs are pretty accurate. We have some gifs here of teachers who look pretty panicked, and maybe for good reason, or maybe not. We'll see. You can judge that on your own as we examine it in a moment. But if teachers are feeling like this, what?
Yeah, I was gonna say honestly that was my first reaction right there. Some of these memes that you're seeing right here, that was my first reaction, panic. But as I started learning and reading about it and actually playing with it, my perception and my idea of ChatGPT and what it can do has changed a lot. Yeah,
we'll get there.
But as we think about our educators, right? If they're feeling like that, right? And anytime the educators are feeling like that, what do we say? Our students are probably feeling like this.
We have some gifts here of students who are super excited. They're like, woohoo, like party time. All right. Which is actually also, I believe, we had mixed feelings when we heard about this. So I think this is also accurate for us as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
All right. So we've been talking a lot. We've been trying to tease you, get you excited about ChatGPT. But, I think it's finally time. If you've never seen it, we're going to give you a demonstration right now. So Ricardo's going to go ahead and gear up.
Yeah, we're going to take you back to this right now, okay? We're going to take, after you see our little demo that we're going to do, you're going to feel like this, okay? We are praying that ChatGPT is going to be friendly with us. And, before we start, the reason why teachers felt like this is because this article on The Atlantic came out, and it basically was titled The End of High School English. And people started freaking out after they read this article, and I read it too, and this is what got me interested in ChatGPT. So I went and looked at it, and we're going to see if we can actually make it work, okay? So here I am. I'm in the website. If we have a chance, we'll put it on the chat. And I'm going to go and try ChatGPT, and we're going like this. Hopefully, oh, look, it is actually working. Okay, so I wanted to see what it can do, okay? So I went into online, and I actually found a personal statement essay that I thought it was pretty good. So, I took it. Okay, actually, you know what? Let me start somewhere differently before. I actually was reading the article, right? And I said, okay, so how could this be used, and why are teachers feeling the way they're feeling? Okay, so I decided to come in here and play with it. And I was talking to my friend who teaches AP US history. He prepares their students to write DBQs, basically, document-based questions. Okay, and I said, okay, well, let me see what it will look like. Okay, if I was to try this and see what it could do. Okay, so my friend, the teacher, Mr. Rogan, who teaches AP US, gives an assignment on a DBQ for students. Okay, and he's, he gave him something like this. Just an example that I decided to pick. Okay, write a DBQ, and he had a title. So I came into ChatGPT and I said, okay, write a DBQ answer to the following prompt. And I put a prompt that would be used in AP US history. Okay, can you read it, Teresa, for us? Okay, can you see it?
Let me see if I can enlarge it. Write a DBQ answer to the following prompt. Evaluate the extent to which economic growth led to changes in United States society in the period from 1940 to 1970.
So this is our student that went to ChatGPT and decided to use it to do their homework. So let's find out.
If I saw that prompt, I would already be sweating, trying to recall all these facts.
So look at what's going on. ChatGPT is taking that and it's actually providing an answer for me, okay? So it's actually doing the homework for our student right now.
So many thoughts are going through my mind right now as I see this artificial intelligence come up with this essay in a matter of seconds.
This
That's
DBQ, right?
that's actually accurate to the prompt.
You're right. Yes, exactly. I know we don't have time to go into the actual answer that it's giving us, but I showed it to my friend and he was like, oh my God, this is actually, pretty good, you know? So that was great, right? That was pretty amazing, right? But our students are very smart, okay? So my student could come in here just to give you an idea. He could say, you know what? Remove. So they're not done. Complex vocabulary. Make it sound like I wrote it.
Because that doesn't sound like a student to me. I mean,
so look at what's going on. ChatGPT is looking at what it wrote on that original DBQ prompt. And now, after I asked it to remove the complex vocabulary, it's actually taking it and it's actually giving me a different answer.
More simplified vocabulary.
Or more simplified, right? So I think, if you know me, Teresa, you know that when I was in high school and college, I hated writing. And I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but I might have used something like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I probably would have felt about it, but so this was already done, right?
Okay.
Good little answer to turn in. I think it's a great answer, right? But you know what? I want to make sure. So let me go ahead and go in here and say, make it sound. Sorry. Like a junior in high school wrote it. Because AP US History, it's for our juniors in high school.
Okay.
So here we go.
Wow. So I'll just read you a few first lines. In the period from 1940 to 1970, the economy in the United States changed a lot, and it affected society in a big way. It already sounds like a junior in high school to me.
So notice what I did, right? In a matter of what? I think 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? I took the prompt, I got an answer, I removed the complex words from it, and then I made it sound like a high school student. Okay, that is what ChatGPT did. Okay, I know we went into the demo first of what it could do, but I wanted to take a second to actually explain what it is basically. Okay, so on December 15, a new version of it came out. Okay, and what made it different, honestly, was the user interface. Okay, I feel that I'm talking to someone else on the other side. The consumer experience changed, basically, and that's what makes it different, okay? But in lame terms, ChatGPT is just an AI chatbot. It's just an AI chatbot, artificial intelligence, okay? It's been fed all this data, all this information, it's been sent in there, okay? And along with massive processing power, it allows it to talk about anything, which is what I did a second ago, okay? And it uses something called GPT-3 technology, okay? That lets users talk to AIs about practically anything. And that's what it's doing, okay? I was researching what GPT-3 is just because I wanted to know what it is. And it's a state-of-the-art language processing model developed by OpenAI. It is capable of generating human-like text. It can be used in a wide range of applications, including language translation, language modeling, generating text for applications such as chatbots, such as ChatGPT. So I took that and I used it to write my DBQ for US history.
So I look at this and as a teacher and as a parent, I'm like, oh no. But let's, we kind of, instead of talking about what we think, why don't we see what the world thought about it?
But you're right. That's the first thing that came to my mind too, Teresa. Is like, oh my God, how do I teach now? How do I make sure my students are not cheating? That's the first thing that came to my head. So let's move forward. So yeah, you're right. So after we saw that, right, we kind of wanted to see what people were thinking about it, and we went to the amazing world of Twitter, right? And here's some of the stuff that we found, positive and negative.
Oh yeah. So here's one. It says, I spent New Year's building GPT-0, an app that can quickly and efficiently detect whether an essay is ChatGPT or human written. Okay, so we're getting reactions already, right? So I guess the first reaction of teachers will be, how can I identify if students are using this or not? How can I catch them? How can I, stop this from happening? I think is a lot of the first reaction, right? Here's another one. The problem for kids with ChatGPT is that they won't learn. Oh, I can't see.
They won't learn how to write, which means they won't learn how to think.
Yes. So I think parents will be concerned that, okay, if you have this tool, my student's never going to learn how to write on their own. because they're
You know,
just
and something that we didn't mention, and I think we should go back in, is that ChatGPT is creating authentic language. It's not like you could take this essay or this DBQ that I created a second ago with ChatGPT and put it in a traditional program like Originality Reports in Google Classroom, right, or Turnitin.com, right, or even Grammarly, right, and it's
that's the
going to
first
tell me that someone
teachers have.
and it's going to tell me that it was taken from the internet. It's actually original language. It's creating language. Okay, so it's not something that it's already out there.
Absolutely.
And I think that was the concern by this particular tweet over here. He says student cheated, but I have no proof.
Yep.
You know, and there were other comments in here, right?
Here's one. But here's another from the other point of view. You can learn anything you want for free. No need to spend thousands of dollars on a course. You just need a laptop and a decent internet connection. Which is basically,
Right.
you can ask GPT not just to write, you could ask it pretty much anything. And if it could find that information on the web, then, you know, you can get all this information very quickly. What else here? ChatGPT and DALLE2 are causing quite a stir recently. But in the end, this will be a great addition to every industry, including for schools and families.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you think you know what ChatGPT can do, you realize you know almost nothing yet. The infinite depth of what it means for a computer to understand language is mind-boggling, and we're just scratching the surface. Yeah, definitely. Once I figure out what it can do, there's so much more it can do. Like it's endless, and it's a little bit frightening and concerning too. Okay, this one, we asked ChatGPT to write a folk song about plant leaves and sadness. They really did. This was an improvised performance, starting with the saddest of minor chords. I honestly don't know what to think. Is this the end of creativity or the beginning of a new way?
Yeah, and I think we show you, ChatGPT from the point of view of an ELA class right now, right? We did it from the English classroom, right? And we kind of just gave you a very, very fast understanding on it. But you know what? Let's try something different. How about a math problem?
Yeah.
Okay. So I took a math problem that I found online, and then used the method of substitution to find a solution to a given system. So I wonder if it can do math for us.
And then it also has the actual math problem in there too.
And notice what it's doing too.
Wow, it's solving it and not only giving you the solution, but it's taking you step by step on how to solve this math problem.
Right? It's pretty incredible, right? And now it's giving us, actually, I see possibility when I look at this. I know it's giving it the answer, but I see possibility too.
I could either look at this and be like, oh no, now they have the answer, or I could be like, oh wow, now they have the prompt.
Yeah, and let's give one more example. Okay, so you know what? It also writes code. So I'm gonna say create a code for
This one.
for the app Scratch. Scratch, right? To create a game. Why not?
All right, let's see.
It's gonna write code.
Here's a simple game you can create using Scratch, and it takes you step by step into how to. Wow. So even I go out there and I teach Scratch to some classes, and sometimes I forget and I get stumped. But maybe in my planning, I could use this.
Yeah, and the amazing thing about again being authentic language. I tried that one before. It actually wrote the code for me.
Oh.
It did. You know what I mean? So that's kind of interesting, right?
I wonder, is it going to do the same thing every time? So it'll be easy for me to catch my students. And no, each time you do it, it's a little bit different. And that's why it's really hard to identify.
Right, exactly. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. That it didn't matter if we weren't here and asked for a science lab, it would probably create that too if we wanted to. It creates music. It basically does everything, right? I was laughing about it a second ago because I was like, I read a tweet as we were looking at this tweet, and someone was playing with it and had ChatGPT write a love poem for his wife. And text it to his wife, and I think this is the key, right? Like the wife automatically knew that he didn't write it, and she was like, "Stop playing with ChatGPT. He didn't write that."
I would know that too.
But that translates to us educators, right? We know our students, right?
True.
Yeah.
We can't deny the initial concern when you see something so powerful as that can do so much in such little time. And I think a lot of that,
I think you froze for a second, Teresa.
Oh, I did.
There you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Am I
Yeah.
back? Okay, so
Yeah.
I was saying, I think when you initially see something like that, it is really concerning. When you see something so powerful come up with all these words and something that actually makes sense in such a small amount of time. And I think a lot of that, the concern is really based out of fear. But what is it that we're afraid of? What are we, you know, what are we afraid of? What was I afraid of when I first saw it? I think, Ricardo, can I share
Yeah, go
my
ahead. Yeah.
thoughts? And I think I share this sentiment with a lot of people who've seen this before. And maybe for you, if you've just seen it for the first time right now, you might share the same thing. As a teacher, I look at it and I wonder, wow, okay, how relevant am I going to be if this technology can do this? I don't have to teach them anything. It's right here, and as a parent, I see it and I get concerned and I think, okay, my child is never going to know how to write properly because they're just going to use this as a crutch. They're just going to use this because it's easy to use and you can't catch it. You can't detect it. So, those are my concerns. How about you, Ricardo? What was your reaction when you?
Yeah, I felt the same way, as a AP Spanish literature teacher, and I actually went ahead and tried it with an essay in Spanish, right? And also being an AP reader for College Board, throwing an essay in there and going back and reading it, and the fact that as a teacher I have so much on my plate, and I'm grading maybe 60 essays, right? And I'm looking for key points, right? And as an educator, if I don't pay close attention, right? One of these things, would have passed by and I would have given it a 3 or a 4, right? Without even thinking about it. So yeah, I was really scared thinking about this at the beginning, but I think the way that I'm looking at it has changed drastically.
And I think, we tell you how we reacted, but then some people totally didn't. They saw this and they said, whoa, this is a huge opportunity. And some people saw it and they got, whoa, I'm super curious how this works. And they tried all the different things to see if they could stump it, and it's just, so you could see it with fear and you can also see it with curiosity, and both. Why not? Right. But, we have to remember, especially, when Ricardo showed us that article about, this is the death of English or something like that. And I think some people really will jump to that conclusion. And, but we have to remember, this is not the first time in history and not the first time in educational history where new tech has come along. So let's go a little bit into our history right now and how we deal with things that are new and different and might change the way we do things.
Yeah. Can we continue to the next one?
Yes, please.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So does this look familiar to some of you? I remember, look on the very left, there's a picture.
And I'm not sure if I'm losing you or you're cutting off just for me, Teresa. And I'm gonna assume that it's just for me as you're freezing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, right. This is a scientific calculator, right? That was first introduced in 1970s, right? And when we think about it, right, when it was first introduced, it was expensive and it wasn't widely available, right? But there was that fear by teachers. I think the same fear that we're experiencing with ChatGPT, right? That it was going to be used in the classroom and it will give an unfair advantage for those people that could afford it. So I talk about equity, right? When we think about that, right? Also, students will rely on these calculators, right, and not develop their mathematical skills, right? And maybe students will forget how to do math because they're relying on this type of technology, right?
Right. Yeah, no. And I remember in high school, having this calculator and be like, no, you can't use it here. You can't use it for this. You can use it for this, but not for this, because they were afraid it would take the thinking away.
Yeah, and it's funny because like there was a tweet that talked about how I think a district in New York completely banned ChatGPT at their district for the kids to use, right? And as I was talking about the calculator and reading about the graphic calculator, many schools initially banned the use of calculators. Yeah. Or restricted their uses in certain grade levels. They reacted the same way that we are reacting about ChatGPT.
It's just a reaction out of fear. And of course, and we're trying to protect our students and protect their learning. And but things change, right? So anyways, let's continue. So there's also another picture here. So Google. Some teachers are like, oh no, we have Google. The kids, they can look up any answer in Google. Anything can be found there. You can ask Google anything. You can ask Siri anything. That was, also a concern too. And also we have one down here, OneNote. I believe it is the math assistant. Is that right, Ricardo?
Yeah, correct. And if you when you talk about Google, I think we as educator have evolved, right? As an educator now, I think about it, right? If a student can Google the answer, maybe that's not a question that I should be asking in my tests, right?
So now the way you teach is changing too,
Because of
right?
this, right? Because we have to realize, right? And I think we were talking about this, right? That technology has always been ingrained in what we do when it comes to education, right? And I'm not going to defeat it. It's always going to be there. And it's, it's shaped the educator that I am, and it's turned me into a better educator because, again, it's made me realize things that maybe I was doing wrong without even thinking about it. Things that I could do better, right? How do I help my student develop into a thinker instead of someone that is just going to be resourceful and go into the internet and find an answer, right?
Not just about, maybe what once was mainly about facts, numbers and facts, has now turned into how and why, not just the what.
And before we go into the OneNote, right? I wanted to just say this, right? With the whole Google thing, if you can Google it, then it shouldn't be asked in a test, right? That's the same thing with ChatGPT, right? When we think about students using ChatGPT to do an assignment, instead of worrying about them using it, maybe we should be worried about the assignment because it can be solved with ChatGPT.
Now, and that was the world before Google, before we could Google everything. You have to admit, tests before really were that. They were just asking for facts. They were just asking for reciting, things like that. And so the educational world has changed because of this, and I think for the better.
Yeah, and then I know you mentioned the picture of OneNote right here, and I know a while back we did an episode on OneNote, and we focused on something called Math Assistant, right? And I'm just gonna go in there really quick, and I'm actually in here, and I'm gonna go into drawing. Okay, and I'm going to draw something, and I'm just going to draw a quick problem. Okay, so maybe I'm just going to go in here, and let me just draw 2x plus 5. Hopefully my writing can be understood, equals 9. There's something very simple, okay? And I'm going to go ahead, and now I'm going to actually select what I wrote. Let me see if I can get it all. Okay. Oh, and I didn't get it all. Let me do it again. Sorry. Let me try to get it again. I always have problems doing this. My lasso select. I can never figure out how to use it. Here it goes. Okay. And I'm gonna basically use Math Assistant inside the OneNote. Okay. And it's gonna take it and it's gonna recognize it. Okay.
Wow.
And now this is something that was available. I don't know. We've been doing this for 5 years, maybe. Teresa trainings on this. And I'm gonna go in here in OneNote. I'm gonna say, you know what? I want you to solve that for X. And it solved it for me, and I can say, you know what? I want you to show me the steps. Right?
Okay.
It's basically what ChatGPT did a second ago, right? And then I have Immersive Reader, which we are not gonna talk about today, but we do have an episode where we dealt with OneNote and all of the amazing tools available there.
So those of you who are listening as you're driving, which we have heard a lot of you do, you just kind of listen to the episode as you drive. He just wrote a math problem. Math Assistant totally solved it, and not just that, actually gave the steps on how to solve it. And I'm going to admit, the first time I saw Ricardo demonstrate this several years ago, I was like, no, we're not sharing that. No, and I'm not sharing that with my daughter. There's no way. Because I was afraid. I was afraid that she wouldn't have to think if she had a tool like this. But, the world and myself, we have changed. And using it as a tool. Yeah.
But think about that student that took this problem home, right? Went into OneNote, used Math Assistant, right? Did the same steps that I did to solve it. So the steps on how it was solved. Maybe they are, recent immigrants and they needed Immersive Reader to understand the steps in their own language, and they can do that with this, right? And now they understand the concept, right? And now a student can come in here just to talk about the positives, right? And generate a practice quiz based on that original problem. Okay, and I can click on there, and actually, this is OneNote is going to go and use Microsoft Forms to generate that quiz and create problems that are going to be similar to basic. And it's actually thinking right now. Here it goes. So now I have questions that are very similar to that concept that my teacher is trying to teach me, and I can practice on my own the same idea. It should have been here. I don't know. It didn't show it yet. It should have. I think it's not showing it right now, but it would have done it basically. There it goes. It's asking me to sign in, and I'll see if I can do it quickly to show you how that will work.
Technology has been so amazing, and I think what we are always initially afraid of we end up loving, we end up embracing and using it to our advantage. And so,
so for me, I know it's going to be the point where I will not be able to help my daughter with some of those math problems that she's going to be bringing home. But a tool like this, I will use so I can create 3 questions just really quick. So just so you can see it. Okay. I was hoping that it was going to work, but here it goes. It took that concept of that problem and it created problems for the student to be able to practice. Okay. Very, very simple, right? So I know Teresa was scared about this at the beginning, but now has your way of thinking when it comes to that tool changed for you?
absolutely. You made a point before and you said, have you ever used the answer key in the back of your book when you were a student? I was like, oh, yes. And I didn't use it to cheat. I used it to check my answers. And that's the same. I use it now to support, to make sure I did it correctly. That's how I taught my daughter how to use it. So she does use it as well to go back to help her learning, not hinder it.
So in essence, what we're saying is that, I was mentioned before, right? Technology has been ingrained, right? And we learn and became better educators because of this, right? Because of this and because of this. And I think it's going to be the same story when it comes to ChatGPT.
So in conclusion, we've been there before, survived, we're the better for it. Now, looking forward, we're going to be talking a little bit more about ChatGPT. And, I think before we even talk more about it, we have to know it. What is it that it can do for us and what are its limitations? So Ricardo, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about what it can do and what it can't do.
So here are some examples that come straight from the actual website, and we just took a screenshot, okay? So some examples of what it can do. You know what? Actually, I wonder if I could probably go in there in a second. You know what? Let me see if I can go in there and we can actually see it. Because it will tell you some of the stuff. Let me go back. Here we go. Where's my ChatGPT? Here it goes. So here's the website, and it'll tell you, you know what? I can, someone wrote a code that was not working, and they said, this code is not working. How do I fix it? And it can do that, okay? Very easily, okay? So that's an example of what it can do. In addition to that, it has the ability to explain quantum computing in simple terms. I can, got any creative ideas for a 10-year-old birthday party? It can help you do that. How do I make an HTTP request in JavaScript, right? In addition of solving a math problem, as we talk about it, creating a science lab, writing an essay, and so much more, right? Capabilities remembers what users said earlier in the conversation, and you saw that where I took my DBQ, right, prompt, and I kept adjusting and make it sound like a high school student, changed complex words so it remembers, okay? Allows user to provide follow-up corrections. So maybe I wrote something wrong and I can come and fix it. And it's trained to decline inappropriate requests too, okay? But it does have limitations, and this is very important, okay? It may occasionally generate incorrect information, okay? It also may produce harmful instructions or biased content because remember, it has been fed all this information, okay, in there. And depending on what it has, it might give you those harmful instructions or biased content. And this is something very, very important. It is limited to knowledge of world and events after 2021. Ooh. My screen went. Limited knowledge of world and events after 2021. So it knows everything before 2021, but it's limited after 2021 based on the information that has been fed.
So that's good to know as you start to think, how can I actually use this? And, we're not going to spend too much time today going over that, but we're just going to give you kind of a taste of what you can use it for. And then we'll have our experts come in and kind of take us through that in our next episode. But
yeah, as an educator, I'm always, we have so much on our plate, right? And as I was thinking about the positives from my point of view, is like I always want something new that is going to remove things out of my plate. That's when I decide to take something on, because it's going to remove stuff from my plate. And there's some great uses for ChatGPT, I think, and we're going to show you some of them, right?
Yes, let's show a little bit, so that they can see what's in store in the next episode.
Yeah, so I was talking about and I was talking about the amount of grading that I have to do, right?
Okay.
And I wanted to show this from as a Spanish teacher, but for this particular episode, we're going to do it in English. So I went and found a personal statement that was a very good personal statement that was written. I found it online, and I just took it and I said, you know what? I wonder if you can grade it for me. So I took it. And I went into ChatGPT and I said, grade this essay. And I threw it in there. Let's see what happens.
Can you read us a little bit of
Yeah,
it?
this essay is well written and effectively communicates the writer's desire to become an educator of the same caliber of historical figures such as blah blah blah. Okay.
Wow.
The essay is well organized and easy to follow. The writer uses specific examples and details to support their point. So, as a teacher, I actually gave it a grade. If you notice, earning a grade of a B plus. Interesting.
Wow.
So, as a teacher, I would use this for feedback.
Okay.
Definitely will use this for feedback, okay? But then I wanted to see, you know what? But standard-based grading and rubrics, right? Can you grade it with a rubric? So I went and found a rubric that I could use to grade this essay. So I'm going to take that rubric, okay? I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, use this rubric. Remember, it remembers things, right? To grade essay. Okay, and I'm going to throw the rubric in here. Let me paste it. Sorry about that. So, and when it pastes the rubric, it does it in a really weird way, but it is there. But let's see what happens. Oh. Ooh, I'm sorry, I'm unable to grade the essay, and it was not, as it was not provided. So it probably forgot, or it's probably being used so much that it probably got cut off. And we were prepared for this. Okay, we were prepared for this. So actually, we're going to show you what happened. Okay, so we recorded this knowing that ChatGPT might give us problems today. So let me show you what happened. Okay, so here it goes. So same thing. We said grade this essay, and we took that essay that I showed you a second ago. Okay. And I went ahead and pasted there. And as you saw before, it actually graded the essay for us, right? And then what's amazing about it, that the answer that it's going to give me right now, it was the same prompt and it was the same essay, but you're going to see that the feedback, and it might not even give a grade on this one, it's different because it's authentic language. This is the reason why you can take it into something like Trinidad.com and figure out if it was taken from somewhere. But it's giving you, it's grading the essay. Okay? The essay is well written and effectively communicates the writer's goals and aspirations to become a teacher, and it goes into it. Strong essay. But I said, you know what? How about if I use a rubric? Would it grade it using a rubric? So I took that rubric. Okay, and here it comes. I'm just going to grab the rubric. Okay. Copy the rubric. I went back to ChatGPT, and I said, okay, use rubric. Or use this rubric to grade it. And I just pasted the rubric in there. And I want you to see what it did, okay? It's pretty incredible. So notice the way it brought it in, but I want you to see what it did. Based on that rubric, it decided that on focus and detail, I gave it a 4, and it told me why I gave it a 4 based on that rubric. Organization, they gave it a 4, and it told me why it gave it a 4. Okay. Voice, it also gave it a 4. And I think for word choices, it gave it a 3.5. So using that rubric that we saw before, it was able to take that same essay and grade it for us.
And some teachers are going to say, oh, no, it's taking my job. And some teachers are going to say, oh, this is one less thing I have to do.
Right, you're absolutely right. So that was just a sample of what it could do when it comes to that. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to it. Hopefully, I do it right this time. Let me go back to ChatGPT. Thank God that we recorded that, Teresa.
I know, just in case. ChatGPT, if you didn't know, if you've been trying to use it the last few days, everyone's been trying to get on it. Like everyone in the universe.
Right. So we know that it can grade essays, right? But I wonder if it can help me write lesson plans. What do you think, Teresa?
Yes. So one of the favorite things teachers do, just kidding, maybe not one of the favorite things, maybe is to write lesson plans, and not just any lesson plans. I think, Ricardo, we want to write lesson plans that are, how about one that's aligned to standards?
Sure.
So I'm in the elementary realm. So let's say I'm teaching, let's say I have an observation coming up and I need to write a lesson plan for my principal on let's think of something, language arts.
Okay, so let's go ahead and ask her to write a 1 hour. 1 hour, okay?
Hold on. Can instead of saying what I want it about, can I just say the standard and will it know?
Let's try it. So write a 1 hour lesson.
Write a 1 hour lesson on, hold on Common Core Standard, because that's what we use here. Common Core Standard, literacy dot, I know you're not used to these standards, Ricardo.
I'm not.
RL 4.1. It's not
Hey.
going to do it.
So let's see if it does it. We're going to ask it to write a lesson plan for us. Let's try it.
All right. That's inference, by the way.
Oh, here it goes. So it gave me a title.
Okay.
Understanding character development in literature. It's giving me an objective. It talked about the common core standard, literacy RL 4.1. It tells me what materials I need for my lesson. It's giving me an introduction of 10 minutes and how I should begin the lesson. It's giving me direct instruction for 20 minutes and what I should do with my students, provide students with a character analysis graphic organizer, explain how to use it to track a character's development, have students read a short story.
All right. Don't rub it in. I get it. It's a good lesson. You know what amazes me though is that I didn't even have to tell it what it was. I just told it the standard and it was able to find that information and give me this lesson so quickly.
I see guided practice. I see dependent practice. I see closure, assessment.
The wheels are turning. Wow. I don't know what to say. I'm a little bit speechless here because I would see this. I'm like, oh man, this is amazing. Because you can use this and then tweak it as your own, right? Or you could ask it again and see what other versions it comes up with. And that was just a matter of seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, right?
Wow. Okay. Thanks, ChatGPT. All right. What else? Did we want to show?
I think those were enough examples of what it can do, right? But I mean, we go back, to our slide deck at the beginning, right? And those teachers being, frantic and worried, and also those students, right? But I think hopefully by the end of today, we give understanding that negatives, challenges, but also possibilities, right? As an AP Spanish literature teacher, the hardest thing that I had to do as I was preparing my students for the AP exam is I would always try to save those amazing essays that were written by students in my past years, and maybe the one that maybe was a mid and one low, because I wanted to use them for my students to go out there and read them and say, you know what, I want them to see what a 5, what a 3, what a 1 was, and and this was so important because I wanted the students to understand where they had to get when it, how high they had to get a 5 or a 3 or a 1, right? So think about, now I can use ChatGPT to write those original examples of writing for me that I can use with my students, right? So instead of having to go and find them, I can have it put in the question right here, say, write this based on this rubric, and, a 5 example essay, a 4 or 3, and use those with my students to be able to practice, right? Such a great idea. As I think about it too, right? Think about the possibilities when it comes to personalized learning and language instruction with ChatGPT, right? The ability to automate things that takes such a long time, right? I'm not gonna say you're gonna use it to grade everything, but sometimes it might come in helpful, right? Or write a lesson plan, right? Just to give me a skeleton if I wanted to, right? I can see it helping me enhance student engagement and motivation, honestly. And we talked about the immediate feedback and support, right?
Yeah.
But with that, it also have some negatives, and we talked about it, right? I mean, I know when we were preparing that, you worry about the loss of critical thinking skills by our students, right?
Yeah.
The ability to develop, and to think critically and independently, right? But also fairness and bias, as we saw, in equity. I know a lot of districts have been banning this, right? But it doesn't stop that student that has an internet connection at home and a phone, right? So now we're creating inequality, by banning something like this.
Some can't. Yeah. We're not here to say it's great and we're not here to say it's bad. I think we're just here to show both points of view, and hopefully before we make any rash decisions, we really learn about what it is. We're still learning about what this is, what it could do for us, and And yeah, Ricardo, I think we wanted to ask ChatGPT something.
Yeah. And before we asked it, let's go ahead. Actually, let's go ahead and ask her those questions. We wanted to finish the show by asking 2 questions to ChatGPT and see what the answers were. And the first time we wanted to ask ChatGPT was, what do you think will be your impact on education?
Yeah, ChatGPT, what will be your impact on education? Prove yourself.
And can you read that or no?
Sure, let me enlarge my screen. It says, as a language model, my main impact in education is to assist students, educators, and researchers in generating text and answering questions. For example, I can assist students in writing essays and completing research projects, help educators in creating lesson plans and assessments, etc., etc. Or it could also be used as a tool for language learners to practice their language skills by providing them with immediate feedback and suggestions for improvement. So it knows what it can do for you. And I think everything that I read here is accurate. These are things that our kids and us in education, we can actually use it for.
I love the third paragraph. You can read it.
I could also be used to enhance education by making it more efficient, allowing educators to spend more time interacting with students and providing individualized instruction rather than,
Yeah.
rubrics.
Very incredible, right? But you know what? Why don't we ask ChatGPT this other question as we are finishing our show today? What about the concerns about your impact on education?
Yes, that would be me and everyone else. There are several concerns about the impact of language models like me in education. One concern is that as language models become more advanced, they may be used to replace human teachers and educators. Guilty.
You said that.
It can lead to a loss of jobs for educators. What else? Another concern is that language models become more prevalent in education. Students may become too reliant on them and lose the ability to think critically and independently. Thank you. That was number 2, right? We were afraid for our students. What else? There are concerns about the quality of generated text from the language model as it may contain errors, inaccuracies, or even misinformation. Yeah, so it is also unbiased against itself, at least, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I know we're gonna continue this conversation, and and if we can leave you with something that I was thinking about this, as I was thinking not about my daughter, because my daughter doesn't like writing as much as your daughter does, and your daughter can write about almost anything out there, right? What's amazing about human beings is the creative expressions that we have, right? The ability to express ourselves, right, and to write. And let's talk about it. We do it based on that human experience that we had, and even though ChatGPT can write the way it does, it's basically just using data that has been sent inside of it and has been loaded and is spitting out what it already knows and what has been done before. There's no creative expression or human experience.
That is a great point. So we just given you a kind of taste of how you could actually use this tool for yourself. But in our next episode, we will have some experts with us to show you how you could actually bring this in. You could actually use ChatGPT as part of your assignment, have the students actually use it as part of the assignment. And you might wonder, how on earth am I going to do that? And we'll show that to you in our next episode. So hopefully you learned all about ChatGPT. All of your feelings, good and bad, they are all valid. They're all valid, but the truth is we need to learn more about it because it's not going anywhere. So thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully we will see you soon in our next episode, more about ChatGPT and what it could do for us. And that is all. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.